We're talking free agent pickups and grading next week's two-start starters on the Friday edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Clayton here with Todd Zola, as usual on Fridays. Going to be looking ahead to next week's two-start starters and also talking a little bit about last night's pickups in the RotoWire Stake League. But some tough news with Clayton Kershaw today, Todd, on the 15-day IL with right SI joint inflammation. So it sounds like he could only spend a minimum amount of time on the IL, but a tough blow regardless for the Dodgers and his fantasy managers.
Yeah, I think Jeff Erickson and I, we need to take responsibility. On the show earlier this week, I don't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, we kind of joked. Actually, we didn't joke. We were discussing, is it time to give Mike Trout and Clayton Kershaw, Aaron Judge, perennial injured players increase their playing time expectation? We said, yeah. And we both did it. And oops.
The second you do that,
there's a reason, right? There's
the way it happens. Yeah.
So, but it does sound like a minimal stint. And I think Google broke, what was it, SI joint? Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Google went down. People searching SI joint earlier. The internet broke, but it looks like it should be minimal. But, we'll see. I don't know if you need – I haven't looked at their schedule. We'll look at it a bit to see who comes up and who fills in. But Mitch White, they've got some short-term replacements over there in La La Land.
Yeah, and Walker Buehler stepping in tonight against the Phillies. Yeah. So we'll see, but it's a long season. It just goes to show like things may be going well now, but we dock a guy's playing time or innings for a reason. And past missed time is the best indicator of future missed time. So just another bump in the road for Kershaw. We'll wish him best of luck in his recovery. Todd, the top pickup last night in the Stake League was George Kirby, probably unsurprisingly for most, $33. And as I was telling James, it'll be dependent on this next start from Kirby, but that may be on the low end in NFBC this weekend because, of course, Kirby was not available in the vast majority of leagues last weekend.
Yeah, he goes, tomorrow night, Saturday night is his next start. And, people might be making the comparison to Matt Brash where Brash started out well and then hit the skids. Kirby's a different pitcher, right? He's more of a control guy that strikes people out as opposed to Brash, who threw by people but sometimes didn't hit the plate. So
pretty often didn't hit the plate.
Yeah, kind of different profiles there. So cautiously optimistic with Brash. I do think
Kirby, right?
Kirby. Sorry, yes.
No, I just wanted to be sure. Yeah, because, still reason to be, not totally out on Brash long.
Oh no, I don't want to be Brash to judgment, but let's let Brash get things together. But with Kirby, I'm in the what have you done for me lately, or what are you going to do for me in the next month mode. So you can argue, I don't want to go all in because what if they temper innings and this and that and the other thing. All right, they temper innings. I'll get somebody else in August and September. I want the numbers he's going to give me now. So, I like Kirby. Have him in one league, have him in the XFL, have him active. So I wasn't waiting to see, I need another good start. No, he's active for me. I do not think I'll be getting him in I'll put in the air quote, keep him honest bids, but I'm pretty sure there'll be some liars. If we're keeping them honest, does that make them liars if they outbid you? I don't know. But
as much as I like Kirby, maybe they're lying to themselves.
Well, yeah, I can see it. But 33%, $330, 340, 50, 60. It doesn't crush you, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot.
I'm excited about Kirby, but I was telling James earlier, like, as I look around my fantasy teams, I'm not really hurting for pitching right now. In this environment, it feels like there's a lot of found money on the pitching side. So while I would very much like to add Kirby, I don't think I have the money to in a lot of leagues, but also I kind of want to be saving up my money for offensive help because that's where I'm really hurt. And I feel like that's the case for a lot of fantasy managers.
Yeah, well, you kind of just said it. Everybody's in the same boat. You still need to separate yourself, and maybe that's getting a bigger lead in pitching now.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
yeah, you just kind of have to play it by ear, know your own personal strength down the line. But yeah, I mean, to me, as good as the prospects are for Kirby, 1/3 of a budget on a relative unknown. We're scouting. People like James tell us all about him, but there's still a shroud of mystery over every rookie. And to me, that's a big expenditure. I'd rather break that 33% up into smaller increments and kind of get under the radar guys with a good start that week or a good start the next week, as opposed to and I don't want to say going all in, but making a big expenditure on Kirby. I try to rather get several smaller incremental improvements than the taking a chance on the one big one.
I think I'm with you there, but I certainly get the appeal, and some people are going to be breaking the bank for Kirby this weekend. We'll see how it pans out. Alec Thomas was the second highest priced pickup last night in the RotoWire Stake League. $20 for Alec Thomas. So he's slugging under 500 at AAA, but 3 extra base hits already, including a homer. And I'm hurting for offense. He wasn't a guy that I felt like could move the needle a ton for me, but I did pick him up in one league, and I didn't really come close here at $20, but I'm looking to patch some holes in the outfield, so I'll be in on Thomas again this weekend.
Yeah, not for
20% of my budget though.
You're right. 20 is a little more amenable, but yeah, I'd rather get in the 14, 15, 16% range. But right now he's playing. Even hitting towards the top of the order sometimes, depending upon the lineups. But we'll see when Carson Kelly comes back and Dalton Varsho moves back to the outfield, because right now there's no obvious. Well, no, there is. And I think whether I went through with you or Jeff, I forget. But DH is open. Seth Beer's just not doing the job. So there is a spot for Alec Thomas to stay. And to me, unless Beer turns it back around, then it looks to me like the DH spot in Arizona would be best be used like cycling players through, right?
Mm-hmm. Especially when Carson Kelly's back.
Right. You can, Pavin Smith and Walker. You can get, Pavin Smith can play in and outfield, so you get Walker off his feet for a day. Peralta, you can cycle them all through as opposed to having a permanent DH. So who's to know? I mean, maybe Seth Beer gets it back and becomes the full-time DH or the regular DH, at least platoon-wise. But so I'm a little less concerned about Thomas's playing time going forward. You know what? I think just because of what you're saying about offense, I think I'd rather, because I'm still bully hitting managed pitching, I think I'd still rather invest 20% on Thomas than 33 on Kirby, even though Kirby may be the better player.
I can see where you're coming from. I mean, a guy like Lamont Wade might be out there too. For me, I think Thomas and Wade are not too far off, and the prices from last night kind of reflect that. Thomas for 20, Lamont Wade for 16. In another league last night, Derek Van Riper's keeper league, I got Lamont Wade for 6, so that could end up being a pretty nice little keeper contract at 6, and leading off against righties, Lamont Wade.
Yep, that's what he did last year, and if he can, last year, I don't know, out over his skis, because San Francisco does such a good job of putting their players in the best positions to succeed. But at least for this year, he still should have first base outfield, I believe, as well, right? The dual eligibility.
I think maybe so, but maybe not in this league.
But that's always nice as well. And he, now that he's back, he'll be inserted. Brandon Belt's been in hurt, not hurt. So White will probably start out in the outfield a little bit more. But, hey, as long as he's in the lineup.
Juan Yepez was a $15 ad, so pretty busy week. Quite a bit of spending this week. Yepez I did have a bid on, but I was about $10 less. So he's been great. He's been cleanup for St. Louis. Do you think they're just kind of done with the Pujols, Corey Dickerson platoon? Do you think there may be still some playing time concerns with Yepez? Corey
Dickinson's better than he has shown, but he's not good enough to wait it out forever. So I think it's okay to bring Yepez in. I don't know how many more milestones Pujols has in him. I think he's hit the major ones. At this point, I think he's just, the occasional bat against left-handers, clubhouse presence. So it's more about Dickerson for me. And I do like him. And he has performed pretty well in pitchers' parks over his career, but he's not good enough to wait it out. That's a division where, no one's going to run away, but you don't want to get behind either. So I can kind of see trying to get that production out of Yepez, especially because Tyler O'Neill is struggling.
Yeah, he hasn't done much.
His strikeout rate is kind of where it was last year, high, but manageable. He's just not hitting the ball with any kind of authority, which is a little bit weird because he's been a very high exit velocity batter. I was hoping to do a deep dive on him and just be able to say, I want him because, his exit velocity is there. He's just not getting results. No. His exit velocity is down. And the kind of concerning part a little bit is it looks like at least after a month and a half, looks like last year was the outlier because it's very close to the previous couple of seasons. We all kind of were hoping that last season was the new baseline or at least close to it. It still might be. But at least looking at the numbers right now, you can make a good argument that last year was the outlier. Now, if he did it last year,
O'Neill, right?
Right. Yeah. He did it last year. Who's to say O'Neill couldn't do it again this year? Yeah. And hopefully he will. Is he a buy low for me? Now I'm asking myself questions. Who needs you, Clay? I'll ask my own questions. Is he a buy low? Man, he's not someone I'm searching to buy low. But if the cost isn't that much, yeah, sure, I'll buy low.
I can see that. Yeah, I did have some K concerns, and I'm not, patting myself on the back, but when you have some plate discipline issues, it just opens up some downside, and we're seeing that with Tyler O'Neill this year.
Yeah.
And Yepez, I'm not going chasing after his hot start, not chasing after a 400 average and a couple homers throughout games, but the fact that he's locked into the cleanup spot makes me think he's not going anywhere in that lineup. So
right, we saw him at the fall league. He hit pretty well. Not that matters, but sometimes it's not. It's good to have eyes on the guy. It was fun to have eyes on him. He was a bit of a surprise in the fall league, if I recall. But that's fine. Late bloomers are unexpected. Just sometimes it just clicks. But I did not go after Yepez last week. And I think it's a week too late. The stake league, the timing is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But kudos to those that got him, and hopefully he does well.
Yeah, too late in most leagues, but probably should be scooped up at least as a bench piece, and those where he's still available. Juan Yepez, and then Emilio Pagano was picked up. Vidal Brujan. I added Jonathan Scope for 5, and just like with Yepez, where you don't get to bank all those great stats he's put up to this point, if you pick him up now. I don't have to take all those awful offers with Jonathan Scope. Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly. He may give me a bunch more, but I think he's a lot better than he's shown so far. Scope.
No, I agree. And I think that lineup will get better. As a group.
Same. And then Brooks Raley picked up. He's gotten a couple saves for Tampa Bay. Spencer Strider for 5. I kind of wish I'd gone after him because even in this bullpen role, he's essentially in the rotation, right? So, and really doing the piggyback thing, the follower, pretty darn good for his fantasy value. So I kind of wish I'd gotten Spencer Strider in this league. It's a 14-team mixed league, but I think he clears the bar in that league. And Kyle Bradish, 11 Ks in his last outing.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a little about Bradish in a few minutes. So we will
right.
A nice, an interesting two-step. But yeah, no, Baltimore pitchers in general are. It's not just the park. And again, maybe the park's giving them confidence, but they're beginning to show the Orioles a little bit of noise, the patience the fan base has shown, knock on wood, could be rewarded pretty quickly. And who knows, some guy named Rutschman may be catching Bradish soon enough.
Yeah, I've heard, I assume, it's not going to be too long. But yeah, Spencer Strider, Bradish, a couple other examples of found money. I know Bradish didn't fare too well in his first couple starts. Just feels like Todd, there's a lot of guys popping up on the pitching side who can help, but not so much on the hitting side.
Well, yeah. Well, that's due to the environment, right? It's due to the landscape. Mm-hmm. So, but everybody's using the same pool. So, if everybody's getting the help, no one's getting the help.
And you're right. So, you do have to even, with the way things are, you have to find a way to differentiate yourself somehow. And maybe that is still on the pitching side, since everybody's doing bad offensively.
Yeah, or like I keep saying, in this, I've said this on different outlets today, if you will. It's like the old 100. I'm going to give 110%. You can't give 110. I'm gonna work even harder at maximizing my plate appearances. And go with 3 starts versus 4 starts. Left-handed batter against 3 right-handed. I'm going to you always should maximize it, right? You always should make every effort to maximize matchups. Well, make it even, make even more of an effort. That's but it's like that's what the 110% comes in. That to me is where you got to get the edge. You've got to you got to use your volume at this point. And I know we talk about this, and I think we agree, but it's our delineation point that may be a little bit different, that we understand this environment. This is now where you need to pound up some of those pitching numbers because the landscape is so low. I think my level of what I'm willing to trust is a little, I don't know if it's higher or lower. I have a little softer of a line than you do at this point. I think we both agree that we need to do it, but I trust a few more pitchers than you may trust at this point, but because things are going to change, and whether it's just the weather or whether they figure something, there's a lot of information out this week about the ball and the humidors and the dead spots because of the strings expanding, non-expanding. I suggest that you, if you're interested in this sort of thing, check out Dr. Meredith Wills on Twitter. A fantastic string this week. Pardon the pun. A thread. Pardon the pun about the Reds too, I guess. About the ball and about different things that are happening. In short, when you go into the humidor and if it adds moisture, the strings inside the baseball also absorb moisture, and if they don't absorb them uniformly, that's where you get the flat spots, right? That's where the deformity of the ball comes, because they expand more here than there, and there's a flat spot. If the ball's not perfectly spherical, you're going to get more drag on that object, and the string expanding is pushing the seams out, and the seams being pushed out give more drag. So a couple things in my mind previously, like, how is this? How are there flat spots on the baseball? That makes no sense. Now it makes perfect sense. So great thread. I'll look it up as we're talking. Make sure I'll get you Dr. Wills's handle. But if you're interested in this sort of thing, it's a great Twitter thread.
Absolutely, and it is interesting, and the changes happening inside the ball as a result of the humidor. It's fascinating stuff, but I am kind of also sick of it. Like, can we just get a ball that's normal, please?
So that gave me the time to look it up. All right. It's at BBL baseball, BBL _astrophysics.
Nice.
And physics is missing the I at the end. I wonder if that means it was someone with physics with the I, but it's Dr. Meredith Wills, and it's a great thread.
Yeah. Pretty wild, and great job by her and others staying on top of this as we try to figure things out and we try to prognosticate and whatnot. Jake Odorizzi was picked up, Evan Longoria, Rafael Montero, and a guy not picked up in this league, but maybe will be, depending on how he fares tonight, Chase Silseth getting the call and jumping over the AAA level. So going from AA Rocket City straight to the big leagues, face the Oakland A's tonight in a first come, first serve league. Even though my threshold for tolerance is a little lower than yours right now, Todd, I still might think about picking up and streaming Silseth if I could, because this A's team is so bad offensively. And with a guy with 30 some career innings under his belt, in the professional innings, you don't really see that very often. A guy like that making his debut.
Yeah, no, 22 years old, and I had a kind of, I don't want to say fudge, but yeah, I guess I did have to kind of fudge a projection just because he doesn't have that many innings where one would normally get an MLE.
Yeah.
And he still, I do for my own site. I rank pitchers by day for streaming and for DFS purposes. And he was in the top half. And there are some really good pitchers going, and even better now with Buehler. There are some really good pitchers on the mound tonight, and he still ended up in the top half. And as you kind of alluded to it, it's because he's going up against Oakland. Silseth, this year, 1.73 ERA, 0.85 WHIP in only 26 innings, 37 strikeouts, 7 walks. As a 22-year-older in AA, translates pretty well. And then he had 5 innings of ball last year. So, yeah, if I was in a head-to-head league and I had daily pickups and my opponent was doing pretty well with pitching and I needed to make up some ground, Silseth's definitely someone I'm looking at. There's just not a lot of others out there right now.
Yeah, and we just had a comment in the chat room. Excuse me, from Josh. Wanted to know if we're talking DraftKings or FanDuel or just baseball in general. Just baseball in general, mostly season-long baseball, that is.
For the record, though, well, not for the record.
We talk a little DFS here and there.
Yeah, Silseth, he wasn't listed, at least when I pulled the numbers this morning, on either DraftKings or FanDuel.
Oh,
so whether they put people in over the course of the day, but I run the numbers in the morning, and he wasn't listed in either site. So
I was going to say, it might be a nice, cheap DFS option, but he's not even in the pool.
At least he wasn't. I don't play it enough. I'm not a grinder enough to know whether they'll add him over the course of the day. I think what they may do is they may introduce new contests with him in it, but don't have him included in any contest that was already opened.
I could see that. It's in the late slate, too. 9:40 Eastern. So maybe some of those late contests will have Silseth. Definitely keep an eye out for him because, rarely do you see a guy with barely over 30 professional innings making his big league debut. But clearly they think he's ready to go. So we'll see how he fares in his first big league game. And we will get to next week's 2-start starters momentarily. We'll first go to a quick word from our Blue Wire sponsors. Now we are back on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball podcast. Clayton and Todd Zola, and we'll get into the 2-start starters unless you had anybody else on your mind as far as pickups or just anything in general, Todd.
No, you mentioned that someone on the chat, if you're watching us, no, it's not your computer. I am crooked. My new place, it's literally on a slant. And so
don't scream like, adjust your computer.
Yeah, the curtain behind me looks crooked, and if I start to go downhill, it's on a slant. But anyway, I'm kind of slanted myself. So, but anyway, no, I've been we talked about the ball already. It's just been fascinating this week, finally having some information come out about it. But let's hit up the pitching, and I'll come out as I mentioned to you off air, working. Off the cuff like you this week. I did not run my numbers yet. I was doing a Baseball HQ podcast previous to this, so I did not get to plug in the numbers and see where people land. So maybe there'll be some discrepancies when these come out Saturday morning.
Yeah, definitely check out Todd's weekly pitcher ranks for a better idea once those come out. And check out our updated projected starters grid on Sunday because it's constantly evolving, constantly changing. And the guys do a great job of keeping up on top of everything. But right now, everything's our best guess and extremely tentative. So let's keep that in mind as we make our way through this list. I will say just real quick, because I just noticed it, Jared Kelneck was sent down today. And then Josh Naylor, who's been off to a crazy start, had that 8 RBI game. 2 homers, 8 RBI. And then he followed up with another homer in his next game. I actually missed that. But yeah, he's betting 347 with 5 homers. He's on the COVID IL, so that's a tough break. You might want to swap him out of your weekend lineup if you can, and definitely you want to do that with Kelneck. I saw John Heyman dancing on Kelneck's grave a little bit. I'm not high on Kelneck anymore, but I would say it is probably too early to write him off completely.
Even for this year, even for the first half. No,
yeah.
Still very talented, but if you're in a dynasty format and his manager's ready to give up, Kelneck's great. A great building block. He'll be fine.
Yeah, sent down for now. We'll see how he fares. But getting into the 2-star pitchers, if you're unfamiliar, we grade them all on a 0 to 5 scale. 0 meaning hands off, we wouldn't start them anywhere. 5 meaning we're starting them across the board. And Todd, I feel like we had these same two guys last week with the Diamondbacks, Bumgarner and Kelly. Did we not?
We probably
deleted my grades from the Google sheet, but I could have sworn we did.
We went with so many rainouts and everything else going on. We very well may have.
Kelly's been super impressive, man. I didn't really pay him much attention during draft season. Now he does have to go into LA, so that's kind of tough. But then he's at home at Chicago in Wrigley to close things out. So actually, I like Kelly more than Bumgarner, although both have pretty similar ERAs right now, under 2. I think I'm going to give Kelly a 4 and Bumgarner a 3.
Yeah, Kelly, coming off a near complete game against Colorado, Miami kind of got to him a little bit, but that's somewhat to be expected. Mm-hmm. But kind of, Kelly, Kelly fills up the zone, hasn't walked more than 2 batters in any game yet this year, and he's gone 6, 7, 8. I mean, he's not a 5 and fly sort of guy. So I do like that. Is he a 4 though? I guess. Yeah. I'll go with the LA and Chicago. Yeah, I'll go with the 4 for Kelly and the 3 for Bumgarner.
Yeah, on the road it could be regression week for Kelly, but I think he'll be okay. And I think if you've got him, you kind of have to start him.
There has to be regression just because no one carries numbers. But are the skills that he's displaying real? The regress to what? I think the landing is fairly soft.
Ian Anderson for the Atlanta Braves. It'll be at Milwaukee, then at Miami. So Ian Anderson had a couple rough starts to begin the year. Then he's kind of come on a little bit. So since his first start of the year, when he went only 2 2/3, he's gone at least 5 in every start. He's a 2.96 ERA, 1.24 WHIP. Your command and control have always kind of been questions with Ian Anderson, but I think you got to give him a 3 here, right?
I think I'm going to give him. Yeah, I'm going to give him a 3, and I want to know. I don't know yet off the top of my head, all the answers to all these sort of things. That's why the internet's there. If you wait Anderson out, you can get to him. Yeah. I want to check out Milwaukee and Miami's, patience numbers. And when I do my rankings, that's built in. So unfortunately, I don't have it. But if I don't think either of those teams are particularly free swingers, or I don't know that it matter too much, but going to give him a 3. But if it turns out those teams are kind of don't walk very much, then he could be, I could think he'd be in the 4 range.
Just pitch around Rowdy Tellez in that first start.
Oh man, yeah,
be all right. And by the way, we have Spencer Strider penciled in, penciled being the key term because we don't know, but maybe he does shift into the traditional starter role. We'll see with Spencer Strider. Then for Baltimore, Kyle Bradish, who we mentioned briefly, kind of in passing, and then Spencer Watkins. Watkins is 0, but Bradish after that 11K game really caught my attention. I think I'm still going to have him in like the 2 range, especially because he gets New York. But then Tampa Bay, both at home in that new spacious Camden. So Spencer Watkins is 0, but I think I'm going to give. Let me think about this. Yeah, I'm going to give Bradish a 2 because the Yankees still scare me even in Baltimore.
Yeah, they're beginning to scare. Yeah, Judge and Stanton are getting their act together, huh?
Yeah.
Judge
looks like a potential MVP.
Yeah. He's even as a Red Sox fan, it's hard not to like Aaron Judge as a player, and it just as a face of the game. I agree with the 0 and Watkins, but I thought he was doing a little. He's run into a couple of rougher outings the last couple of games. He started out better, and it's kind of fallen apart. So yeah, I will agree with the 0, but I did have to look because I thought he was pitching better. Bradish, I just I'm with you. But as we kind of alluded to, pitching so well, but these matchups will tell. And man, 11 strikeouts against the Cardinals, no walks. That's hard to ignore.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
We'll go to, and he fanned more than a batter an inning at every level, so he does have it in him. So
Yeah, he's not a total nobody prospect, you know.
Yeah, I mean, my hesitation, I may even think he's a 3. One reason being, kind of a loaded question right now, but guess who leads the league in strikeouts versus right-handers? Tampa Bay, the team he faces second. So, I think I'm going to go with the 3.
Okay,
just because of that, the strikeouts versus Tampa at home.
All right, that's good points there on Bradish. Next up, Gare Whitlock for your Boston Red Sox, a 2.19 ERA, but he's versus Houston, versus Seattle, and Whitlock, after going 5 in his May 4th outing, then only went 3 against Atlanta. Tough to nail down, pitch count and workload expectations from start to start, but man, I think you want this guy active, so I think I'm going to give him a 4. Is that too high, given that he's not like stretched out as a full starter?
No, but yeah, you kind of just mentioned it. I mean, is he in the rotation? Is this what it's going to be? I'm will he get that second start? Will Boston do something?
Yeah.
But as a pure pitcher, I think a 4 is fair. I think, both home. I think a 4 is a fair mark. We've got Eovaldi also with 2 starts. I was about to say 5, but I'm not sure that he deserves. I think he's a 4.
Yeah, I think he's a 4 too. I actually could see this being kind of ugly for Eovaldi, but I just kind of been waiting for him to fall apart for a while. So that's just on.
Yeah, and eventually he'll be right, but in 3 or 4 years. No, he's very good. It's more of a health issue with me, and he's proven very durable. He's given up 3 runs in each of his last 2 outings, but I don't think he's going to get blown up. But he may not dominate either.
Now, Wade Miley for the Chicago Cubs, he came back and handed out 5 free passes in only 3 innings. You look at the matchups for him, and they're pretty good versus Pitt, versus Arizona, but clearly he's not feeling himself yet. It doesn't have his control yet, so not stretched out, only 3 innings again his debut. So, maybe a 1, but that might be. Wade Miley might just be a 0 till further notice.
Doesn't he feel like a trap?
Yeah.
It's like, man, we got to start him. It's Wade Miley. It's Pittsburgh. It's Arizona. It's at home. I'm going to go with a 1 because I don't think he's a 0. But, if I have him in a draft championship, or I would have to consider, and I have to think it's not an automatic start. I would definitely have to consider it.
That's the way to put it, I think. It's not an automatic start. Even if you've been waiting on Miley, it's not a guy who's good enough to just negate all the concerns we have here.
Wait, Clay, just as the Reds get hot, they only have 5 games next week?
Mercifully, they only have 5 games.
No, what do you mean mercifully? They've been crushing it lately.
Yeah, they've won like 4 of 6 or something.
Yeah, break up the Reds.
Hey, it has been fun, and at least they get a few wins here or there. It kind of blows my mind that the Red Sox have 4 more wins than the Reds.
Gosh. Anyway.
It's hard to believe. And the Tigers too are down there. It's
At
least the Reds weren't trying and then sucked. Like the Tigers and the Red Sox. But 2 games, 2 days off next week for the Reds, so they only have 5 games. And same for Cleveland, 2 off days. But then for Colorado, Antonio Senzatella versus San Francisco versus the Mets. 2 home starts, that's a 0. That's asking to just kill your season.
Yeah, but it's worth pointing out that's 6 games in Colorado next week.
Ooh, yeah. That's maybe you pick up some fringe Rockies, maybe even some fringe like Giants and Mets.
Yeah, you get your Lamont Wade in there.
Yeah. Save my offense, Lamont Wade. Lucas Giolito and Dylan Cease for the White Sox. Dylan Cease, didn't he have a little bit of he gave 6 the other day, but
he struck out struck out 11 out of the first 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
He was about to break Roger Clemens and Kerry Wood's record, and then he ended up giving that many runs. That's baseball.
Yeah. So over his last few outings, 11 Ks, 8, 11, 9. So
yep.
Any any lingering concerns with him, or is he kind of like in that ace tier, Dylan Cease? Because I think I'm thinking about giving him a 5. Even though 1 is at New York.
Ratios are still volatile.
Yeah, I'll give him a 4.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm starting him, but I don't mean if we're rating, performance-wise, I think it's a 4.
Giolito a 5.
Giolito's a 5. Yeah, he's a 5.
But Cease, I think, maybe you're right that because we like to reserve that 5 typically for the very top.
I'm not so sure that he deserves it. I mean, he gave up a bunch. Still get up homers. I mean, Twitter was saying you got to watch Cease. He's about to set a record. Well, you kind of did. He set a record for what did the there was some weird no team has scored. The Yankees did something with like 11 strikeouts, and I don't remember exactly what it was over the course of the game because I can only see what Cease did on the page I'm looking. But it was like they set some kind of weird team record in that game by striking out so much.
I didn't realize that, but that's interesting.
I'm being so particular and specific with my comment. It's easy to figure it out. Can you be more vague, Zola? Jeez.
That's all right. But in the RotoWire staff keeper league, I picked up Bo Brisky last week for $1. It's an 18-team keeper league, and I was like, all right, probably going to be cut because he was struggling out of the gate against Oakland. Then he ended up turning in a quality start against Oakland, but only 11 Ks in 21 innings against 10 walks. So still need to see more before I consider him in a traditional league. And at Tampa Bay, at Cleveland, I don't know if he's even a 1. I may go 0 for Brisky.
There's very few foods which I just don't enjoy, and brisket being one of them. So I don't know that I should be letting that influence my ranking at all. But I am.
Might get cooked like brisket.
Well, it's weird. It's the same as it's the same cut of meat as corned beef, but I like corned beef. It's just the way it's cooked. And it's my tribedom is it's brisket's big within there, and I just don't happen to enjoy it. Those matchups though, I'm thinking about a 1. I'm going to give him a 1.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably undeserved, but I'm going to give him a 1. And this is the I need to get all the starts I can before pitching starts to stink again.
I mean, he's been good despite the lack of Ks, but I just with all that contact allowed, just too volatile for me right now. So
run scoring has gone up this week, and we kind of predicted it. The pitching was just bad this week. I mean, it's warmer. I don't know where you are, Clay, but I'm in the 80s right now in Boston. Well, outside of Boston.
It's gotten real warm. It's unseasonably warm here. Yeah, so after like the 6 months of below freezing, it's in the 80s here. But
pitching this week having to do with the rainouts and some COVID stuff. I again on the show we did, you do it later in the week with Jeff. I said, runs is going to be up this week, and it's nothing more than the pitching isn't very good.
Yeah, always good to keep that in mind when looking at the offensive numbers from around the league. And Jake Odorizzi's been, since his 2/3 of an inning hiccup on April 20th, he's been great. He's gone total of 17 2/3 innings in his last 3 starts. Only 1 earned run allowed, so that's an 0.51 ERA, 12-4 K to walk, 0.57 WHIP. I mean, I guess I got to start giving Odorizzi some respect again. At Boston versus Texas, not a bad 2-step. I mentioned he was picked up in the Stake League. I think I'll go 2. I'm not willing to quite go 3 because I think like Ian Anderson, Bumgarner, he's not quite up there yet.
Yeah, all right. Well, you mentioned the good, and 1 run in the past 3 starts, 1 home run allowed. It was that run was on a home run. Only given up 6 hits. The point I'm making, he's been lucky, but he's only walked 4 in that time. He's been good too. To me, the regression monster is just waiting to rear its ugly head. I'm going to go with a 1, but I understand. I think at Boston's scary. I think the Boston offense is due to wake up, and Texas isn't particularly scary. But I mean, I could see the Red Sox, and it's not my fandom, but I can see the Red Sox laying one on them.
Yeah, that could be a trap, especially given how well he's been pitching.
Although, I mean, then having again, this is my fandom. I don't know how many times I've seen junk ballers just crush the Red Sox. So that could happen too.
But I do think you're right. They're they're kind of a sleeping giant. Maybe not a giant, but they're bound to wake up in some form or fashion pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Keller, Brady Singer. Brady Singer's a 0, but Brad Keller, man, pretty darn good so far. So let's look at these matchups again. Versus the White Sox versus Minnesota for Brad Keller. Team's just so bad. He's 1-3 despite a 2.70 ERA. So, what do you think? A 3 for Keller? Is that too generous?
No, I'm on a 3. I'm with. I actually figured you for a 2. I'm on a 3. Even though the White Sox offense is beginning to tick, Moncada with a big homer yesterday. I'm still going to go with a 3. I've been on Keller anyway for the past couple of years. Not as a Cy Young candidate, but as a streamer. So if I've been on him, I got to stay on him.
Yeah, I'm with you there. You were ahead of most people on Keller.
Well, it cost me last year.
I know it cost you a little bit.
Big time.
You saw something there when most people didn't see anything.
Well, which means that Taylor Hearn, I dropped him, and he did well this week. I guess my personal lesson is you can have these Brad Kellers. You don't have to start them right away. But then you lose when they are good. So I didn't learn my lesson with Taylor Hearn, who went out and threw 5 scoreless last time, but we'll get to him in a minute.
No 2-star starters for the Angels. And we'll see if Silseth gets another opportunity to be on today. But then for the Dodgers, Tony Gonzalez. We'll see how they shuffle things around, but tentatively we have Tony Gonzalez in there for 2. And then Ryan Pepio. He was sent down, but maybe they could add him as the 27th man for the Twin Bill. I'm
maybe.
Not exactly sure how that.
Yeah, with Kershaw out for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So he only went 3 innings and had some control issues, Pepio, in his debut. But maybe they'll need to figure something out for that second half of the Twin Bill next week. But Tony Gonzalez's been great versus Arizona at Philly. I mean, I guess I got to give Tony Gonzalez. I think I give him a 3, but he's been pretty darn exciting so far.
Has he though?
Has he not been K-ing many guys? I haven't really
23 strikeouts and 13 walks in 27 innings. 16 hits in 27 innings. Again, another. Now, I like to say the regression monster's on the way, but the way you fend off the regression monster is with better skills. And Gonson is perfectly capable of ratcheting up that strikeout rate and displaying a little bit better control. Yeah. So it's not a given. But I think there's a bit of a, well, of course, a 1.33 ERA, there's always a mirage. But I think the whip is artificially low, too. So while I agree that it's a 3, I think we need to sort of slow down. I'm not saying this was your narrative. I think we need to slow down the Kershaw's out, Gonson needs to step up, blah, 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 narrative that we're about to hear. But these opponents, fair. Arizona. How about Bryce Harper? With hitting home runs with the torn elbow there.
Yeah, he can't play the field, but he can hit bombs.
Yeah. So that's anyway,
good. And you're right. Tony Gonson. I said, exciting start. The surface numbers are exciting, but you're right that under the hood it's not as much. There is still a lot of green though on his page here on RotoWire because not allowing many barrels, but the K and walk numbers really. Not so.
And I think we'll be a meeting in the middle. His skills will improve to fend off whatever regression he has coming.
Well, regression has caught up to Jesus Luzardo a little bit recently, and he struggled with his controls the last outing. 4 walks, so his second 4-walk game of the year. Ks have been trending downward since the start of the year. And I'm probably going to give him like a 4, but I think this is a reminder that this guy's missed a lot of time and just performing for a prolonged stretch is not something he's ever done.
Correct. Beginning of the year, some adrenaline flow. Let's see what happens when he settles in. To me, the most important thing is he's still healthy. Yeah. And I think, like you suggest.
As far as we know, anyway.
As far as we know, I don't love these matchups, but they are at home. I'll match or I'll see your 4 or I'll call your 4 if we're doing poker terms, I suppose. But I took some flack in the recent column. I mentioned I traded for Luzardo in a dynasty league, and one of our readers thinks I should have been kicked out of the league for only getting Luzardo back when I traded away Jacob deGrom, which just goes to show, different strokes for different folks.
And every league's different like that. Keeper leagues.
So, but anyway.
Freddie Peralta for the Brewers, he lines up for 2. Now, he hasn't been like full Freddie, at least last year's Freddie yet, but he's been improving. His last few outings, he has a 2.16 ERA, last 3 outings. So, he still has an ERA over 4. I think actually I'm going to give him a 5 because I feel like Freddie Peralta is a 5 pitcher.
38 strikeouts, 11 walks. So only 1 home run. Yeah. I don't know what his xFIP and FIP is. I can easily look it up, but I have to imagine his expected ERA is a little bit lower. I'm going to stick. I'll agree with the 5.
No 2-start starters from Minnesota, but it does look like Josh Weiner is going to be sticking around long term with Paddock out. So if Weiner's still sitting out there, I'd recommend going and getting him, especially because he's coming off a not so great outing. You might be able to get him for a few bucks cheaper than you otherwise would. Tyler Mcgill had a little bit of maybe more than a little bit of a hiccup. 8 earned runs. I guess that's not just a little hiccup, but his ERA jumps like from 2.43 to 4.41 in 1 outing. So 2 runs essentially jumping up in 1 bad outing. So a good reminder that these can happen even with guys who seem to be breaking out. Let me see the matchups versus St. Louis at Colorado. Ugh. I guess I'll give Tyler Mcgill like a 2. I think that's maybe with 1 start in Colorado. I don't know if I can go higher than that.
I'm debating if that's 1 spot too high, to be honest with you.
Maybe so.
I don't know if he's established enough to be able to, get away with it. All right. Home, the first start home against St. Louis. All right, I will go 2, but I'm not, I'm almost hoping that Sunday starts rained out.
Yeah. Well, I think we have Mcgill Walker, so.
Oh, yeah.
Mcgill at least lines up early in the rotation.
He'd get pushed up, yeah.
I guess maybe Walker will might get his rained out, but I think Taiwan's like I guess I'm going to give Mcgill a 1, maybe, or Mcgill a 2. Maybe I give Walker a 1, but it's a 1.
I agree. I agree with that. Yep.
The Yankees, Luis Severino and Jameson Taillon at Baltimore versus the White Sox. I like both these guys. I mean, Taillon's been better than Severino to this point. Severino, I do have some concerns with. I was watching some of his outing against the Blue Jays. Didn't look all that great, to be honest. But these matchups going into Baltimore, then versus the White Sox, I think I'm going to give them both 4s.
I'm still at the 3 spot with Severino, but I think he eventually will be a 4 or 5 type pitcher. But I'm still 1 outing, 6-inning outing against Baltimore. The rest, 5 tops. So I'm going to stick with a 3 for Severino and a 4 for Taillon.
Okay, I got you down as a 3 for Sevy. And then Zach Logue, pretty good start to his big league career. I don't know a ton about Zach Logue, but Ks aren't terrible. Walks are pretty low, 2 and 1. I need to see more, but I guess in those leagues where you're kind of desperate AL only, maybe he's a 1.
Yeah, was it the Detroit pitcher? Was it Wentz? He was. I actually liked the Detroit rookie more than Logue in that matchup, and Logue outpitched him. But yeah, with these matchups, although LA's hitting pretty well now, yeah, in that park, I'll give him a 1. But
Yeah, just was he? I have to imagine he was a trade acquisition, wasn't he? Let me just scroll through his old notes. Yeah, he was traded to the Blue Jays in the that was in the Chapman deal. So I guess I forgot that he was in.
Yeah, I was going to say Buffalo. Yeah, I'm looking at the minor league. Yeah, Buffalo would have been Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know Shea Langoliers is killing it in the minors and Logue doing well. So maybe they didn't do so bad in that trade. Now, Zach Eflin for the Phillies, he's the cover boy of Jeff Zimmerman's latest drops article at RotoWire. So he's getting dropped in a lot of leagues. Maybe it's time to scoop him up. He does get the Dodgers in the second one and the Padres in the first. Padres, I just kind of have it in my head that they're not all that scary, but they have been playing pretty well so far. So maybe time to go pick up Eflin after, kind of middling surface numbers.
Yeah, but do you start him this week?
I'm going to give him probably a 2, but
I'm going to give him a 1, and he is not on my, you know what? I'd rather get him after this week because he's going to stink then use him this week. If I'm looking for a 2-starter, he is not on top of my list. Although I haven't seen a whole lot that would be this week.
True. Yeah, it's kind of a tough week for 2-start starters. And Eflin, he hasn't been all that bad. He's only given up 1 homer. I guess this latest outing he had where he gave up 5 kind of skewed things, but he hasn't been all that bad. So I can see your hesitation, but I'll give him a 2.
I do like him a bit. He was kind of slow out of the gate. I forget, was he injured or there was something going on early on?
Yeah, maybe COVID IL or something.
Slow out of the gate, but he's out with COVID now. 18 strikeouts and 5 walks. 24 innings. Don't love where he's at, but he's better. It's the matchups. I like the pitcher as a streamer. He's matchup oriented, and these just aren't the matchups for me.
Any reason to consider Bryce Wilson at all? I'm going to give him a 0.
In a Bryce only league, maybe. But other than that, maybe in a Wilson only league. No, yeah. I'm not a fan.
No 2-start starters for San Diego next week because I think they're getting Snell back, right? So Snell will be back next week.
Yeah, and Gore has done nothing to knock himself out of the rotation. Right. I'm curious to see what they do next week. I don't see anybody clearly to knock down, but there's too many good pitchers to go with a 6-man in that rotation.
I'm with you there. So, sorry, I was reading some comments. So, sorry, some comment in the room about some egregious take, but I can't really figure out what he's talking about. So we'll move on. I probably offer a lot of egregious takes, so it's hard to pinpoint the exact one. Chris Flexen, Logan Gilbert. I'm not a Chris Flexen guy, and it's kind of, I don't mean to pat myself on the back too hard, but he's 1-5. 4.24 ERA is serviceable, I guess, but whereas Logan Gilbert's creeped up into a 5 range, even at Toronto to start. Flexen's like, a 1, I think. I don't like the skills.
Yeah, all right. So I'm seeing your comment. We don't just so Josh knows, we generally don't do DFS. I play DFS. I think I play a little more than Clay, but that really isn't part of the we're not prepared to name your stacks. RotoWire has got articles specific for DK and FanDuel,
tons
where you can go DFS to and get them. But I don't know, who you're talking about egregious take on stacks, but anyway, need Clay to make my bad day go away. I don't know. All right. What was the question, Clay?
Just Chris Flexen. I'm giving Logan Gilbert a 5, but Flexen a 1.
I think I'm a little higher in Flexen than you are, but he's a matchup guy, and I don't like at Toronto, and I don't like at Boston. Man, 1 might even be generous.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. But I'm gonna keep him a 1. But that's kind of like
I'm gonna go with a 1.
What he did last year.
I'm gonna go with a 1. But man, I could see this being a Reverson. I could see this becoming a Flexen week. I could see getting flexed. It'd be getting flexed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see getting flexed this week.
That might be the new Gombard in time.
Yep.
Alex Wood at Colorado.
Gombard, by the way, he got not crushed, but the Giants hit him hard again. Not quite like last year. Oh, man. Anyway. All right.
It's always a trap with Gombard. No, maybe not always. But, he suckered people in yet again. Now, Alex Wood's at Colorado to start next week versus San Diego. I might have to be kind of forced into starting him. I don't want to, but I like Alex Wood, so I guess a 2, but could be playing with fire.
No, I agree. A 2. I'm going to go with it. I think, you know what? I think a pitcher like Wood, you hope, survives Colorado. 5 innings, 3 runs, something like that. I don't think he gets crushed. And then you just hope he makes up for it at the end of the week.
Miles Michaelis has been outstanding. Steven Matz, not so much, but Matz's underlying skills I'm still kind of intrigued by, and actually scooped him up in one league where he was dropped. Good
for you.
Yeah, thank you.
I like Matz more than Michaelis, even though Michaelis is pitching better.
Yeah, I can see that still.
Skills-wise, yeah.
The Mets, at Pitt, so both have pretty nice matchups. Two really good pitching parks. So I'm going to give Michaelis a 4 and Matt's a 3, but are you flip-flopped on that?
No, I'm going to explain. I'm going to go exactly what you're doing, but I think what I kind of like the skills of Matt's more. However, Michaelis is just so smart, and these are great pitching parks, and he's got great defensive outfield. So especially, in this with this ball, I think Michaelis is, it's kind of like softball. Here, hit it, my guy will catch it, and he's doing really well. And with 2 starts, you get a few extra strikeouts, and so I'm going to go 4. Now, I don't like Michaelis long term, but for these matchups, I do.
Awesome. Okay. Next up, Shane Mcclanahan. He's a 5, right?
He is a 5. Where would he be drafted? Awesome. Where would he be drafted? Where's he going to go in the Memorial Day NFBC League?
I don't see him getting out of the 3rd round. Honestly.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
John Gray, it seems like every time he comes back, he's leaving the game again because he's hurt.
Yeah.
Now they expect him to make his next start, but he came back, went 3 innings, I think got hurt, then 4 in the 3rd innings got hurt again. So I feel bad for John Gray, but until I see him come back and at least clearing 5 again, I don't think I can start him. And the Angels have been like red hot offensively, so I'm going to go 0 actually on John Gray.
He could be subject of Jeff's trash article. I mean, no, it's not a trash article. He calls it other man's trash, right?
Yeah, one man.
Jeff, I didn't call your article trash.
No. But yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example of a guy who could be dropped.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to. I like Gray, and in a draft champions, he's on my bench, and I'm not. I'm ready to put him in, but he, to me, in a 12 teamer, he's gone. I think in a 15 teamer at this point, as you say, you can't rely on him yet. I think he'll come back later in the year, but right now, to me, he's a drop. And if I have him, Houston, I guess I'm going to give him a 1, but it's not comfortable.
Yeah, I just those matchups, I just can't see starting him. So I'm going 0, but I got you down as 1. 0 and Hearn, right?
He's gonna throw 2 gems because I dropped him, but you know what? I'm gonna go with a 1 because I still do believe in the talent.
Okay,
and I think there's just better things in store for Texas in general, but I'm gonna go with a 1.
All right, I got you marked down. Then you say Kikuchi, among the guys we've talked about who are freely available in a lot of leagues. I mean, Kikuchi's probably the one I'm most interested in going out and getting this week because he's been pitching a little better. Control still has been a little spotty, but versus Seattle versus Cincy, I really like that. So I'm going to give him a 3, but I like him more than like Zach Eflin.
I'm going to say 3, but in my head, I'm thinking he's going to pitch like a 4. I have to remember what it is. He switched up his pitch mix. Easy for me to say, pitch mix.
Yeah.
And I think it's working. So I think he can perform like a 4, but I think you still have to temper and call it a 3.
Yeah, I think that's right. Now, Aaron Sanchez suffered, quote, a little bone bruise on his left hand Wednesday, but we still have him penciled in, and K's just haven't been there. This guy won Rookie of the Year, in like 2016 or whatever that was.
He and Stroman were going to lead the Blue Jays to championship after championship.
Yeah. So he threw 192 innings in 2016. He hasn't thrown more than 131 since then, or hasn't reached 132 in any season. So good to see him back pitching, but he struggled, and no reason I would consider picking up Aaron Sanchez. 0.
No, yeah. Annabelle's out for a while. Yeah, whenever we see A. Sanchez, I have to make sure which one it is, but Annabelle is still out. Yeah, Washington's getting kind of thin as far as if he doesn't pitch, who's going to go for him. Washington's kind of getting a little bit thin there with some of their pitchers being out and hurt, et cetera. I'm not sure where they would go. But, yeah, I'm going to go 0. And, I mean, that sinker, was it the sinker back in the day, the hard sinker that was going to make him a star, and it just never came to fruition.
Yeah, that's just the game of baseball for you. It's an incredibly tough game and really hard to sustain success in this game. All right, well, let's review the grades for the week of May 16th, 2022. Madison Bumgarner, 3. Merrill Kelly, 4. Ian Anderson, 3. Spencer Watkins, 0. Kyle Bradish, I say 2, but Todd, 3. Gare Whitlock, 4. Nathan Eovaldi, 4. Wade Miley, 1. Maybe that's generous. Antonio Senzatella, 0. Dylan Cease, 4. Lucas Giolito, 5. Bo Brisky, I say 0. Todd, 1. Jake Odorizzi, I say 2. Todd, 1. Brady Singer, 0. Brad Keller, 3. Tony Gonzalez, 3. Jesus Luzardo, 4. Freddie Peralta, 5. Tyler Mcgill, 2. Taijuan Walker, 1. Luis Severino, I say 4. Todd, 3. Jameson Taillon, 4. Zach Logue, 1. Zach Eflin, I say 2. Todd, 1. Bryce Wilson, 0. Chris Flexen, 1. Logan Gilbert, 5. Alex Wood, 2. Miles Michaelis, 4. Steven Matz, 3. Shane Mcclanahan, 5. John Gray, I say 0, but Todd, 1. Taylor Hearn, I say 0. Todd, 1. Yusei Kikuchi, 3. Aaron Sanchez, 0. So good luck this week in Fab. Anything else on your mind today, Todd?
Let's answer the dude's question. I know it's not low price, but I kind of like Kevin Gausman on tonight's slate for DraftKings. I do remember doing a little bit of research against. I mentioned Tampa Bay strikes out a lot. So to our DFS friend, I know he's not low priced, but I like Gausman tonight.
Nice. I was wondering if his forget it. But I was wondering what maybe he was saying that our talk about the balls having flat spots. I mean, that's
no. I don't think he was saying. I don't think Josh was saying that we had an egregious take. I think it was just something in general about DFS. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it was.
Either way, that's real. Like there have been balls that are all wobbly and misshaped.
All right. Going up again. Yeah, Josh was making fun of that. Dude, read Twitter. There are dents on the ball. The strings are not expanding uniformly, and they're throwing balls out of the game because there are flat spots.
Yeah, we've seen them. I mean, there have been pictures of some balls with big old misshaped.
You want to, we're not being defensive here. Keep up on the news, my friend.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what he was talking about. Then I thought maybe he was talking about our discussion on the flat spots on the ball. But anyway, great stuff.
Flat spot up here, flat spots on my head.
Yeah, right here too. But yeah, great stuff, Todd. Really appreciate all the insights. And yeah, hope you all join us next week. We'll be grading our 2 starters and looking ahead to Fab. Good luck in your leagues. We'll be here to help you every Friday. Hope you'll join us on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast.